Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, and along with me is my Chiappa 1911-22 pistol that I've been rejoined with. I did a previous video on this that you may have seen, and if not, you're more than welcome to go check it out. This gun was previously in a dysfunctional, well, let's say not functional at all state, and I'll spare you the details of that because, well, that's why I have another video. So if you haven't already seen it, go ahead and watch that one first. If you have, here's an update for you. As mentioned in the other video, gun came through Gallery of Guns, otherwise known as Gun Genie or just Davidson's. It's all the same people by different names. I'm not pushing them, I'm not affiliated with them, and there's other people that do lifetime warranties. So my point of this story is lifetime warranties are awesome. If you can get your particular firearm that you're looking at from a place that does a lifetime warranty, go for it. This is not my first experience using something like this, and I'm really happy with it. My dad's used it as well to send back a firearm through these guys, and they completely replaced his gun. I had a revolver that I wasn't happy with the action on. They completely replaced that within a week, brand new serial number and everything. You simply go back to the FFL that you actually picked it up from, and they will handle contacting and dealing with Davidson's and doing either the repair or the replacement. Now, technically, if you look at the specs for your lifetime warranty, it says that the user, or purchaser I should say, is responsible for return shipping. I can say the majority of times from my experiences and my dad's, they don't actually ask you to pay for that shipping, although one time they did. I don't know what the difference was. I don't think there was one. So I would say honestly that's kind of a hit or miss thing depending on the retailer, the FFL that you go through. Probably one of those things where just don't, I wouldn't bring it up and push it, and hopefully you'll get away without actually paying that shipping. If they ask for it, then technically it is in your warranty that you're responsible to pay it. But like I said, most of the time they don't say anything. They just take the gun from you and call you in a week or so and give you your new gun. In the case of this guy, he was out of whack, like I said. The front end was all blown up, and this gun had had some quirks before. Minor things that honestly, just those little things alone, you know, based on the warranty that you get from Davidson's, I could have sent it back and said, I'm just not happy with this. It occasionally doesn't lock back, and occasionally, no, I think the stovepipes went away once I broke it in. So it was really just the locking back that was a little quirky for me, but I chose not to really rock the boat on that because there's a lot of quirks with these guns, and that's not really the end of the world. I didn't want to risk sending it back and then getting a gun that had a worse problem, just because there is some quirkiness with these guns. So I didn't want to really push things. But then when it catastrophically failed, it was time to send it back. Now, I was wondering if they were going to give me a brand new one, like was my other experience. And I happened to check at the time on the website, they were out of this finish. It was not in stock, so I was wondering, you know, what they would do. I told them, hey, if you have a different color, that's fine. I don't care. But it took about 3 weeks, and 3 weeks later, here I am. They decided to repair it. So I don't know if the fact that it was out of stock played into the equation there, or if it was just because it was a relatively simple fix. Really, I think it was just this barrel bushing that was cracked. But either way, called me up after 3 weeks and gave me my repaired gun. And at first I was like, oh cool, I get a new one. But like I said, I've already broken this one in. I've already done other things like file down that front sight. These do come with an exceptionally high front sight, and it even says in the owner's manual to expect to file that down. So I already did little things like that to it. So I'm not really that upset that I didn't get a brand new gun, to be honest. Took it to the range today, tested it out, put some rounds through it, was functioning just like it always had before the front end blew off. So that was nice. Locked back on the first time I shot it with no problem. You see it's locking back now. There was one point about halfway through my little shooting session that I'm trying to make it safe on the line. I was having a little difficulty getting it to stick back. I think sometimes when it gets a little you know, residue and whatnot from the 22 powder in there, that's when it starts to act up. I don't know. Once you wipe it down a little bit, it goes back to locking up. So anyway, that was an issue before, and it happened a couple times. I have one stovepipe that I did catch on film. That's really rare with this after breaking it in, this particular gun, mine that is. You read about a lot of people that say they stovepipe all the time. I was pretty lucky with that, but I did have one today. Again, I haven't fired this in a while, so I got to get used to getting that firm grip on there. So while it shouldn't stovepipe that easily, I have learned that you got to have a firm grip on this guy, and I probably just needed to do that. But had that, and there was one time that it didn't lock back on an empty mag at the end. But these are all things it was kind of doing before. And like I said in my other video, if somebody said, you know, will you give me a recommendation, should I buy this? I don't know. I would say I like it. I don't regret this purchase at all. And I honestly do really like this gun. I've got a little relationship with it, and I know all its little quirks, but, you know, would I officially recommend it? Maybe not. But either way, go Gun Genie go, because I got it back and it's working. Decent groups for what it is out of it at 7 yards. You know, I guess I should be slightly embarrassed by that. That's not beautiful. It's not like I was really putting a ton of concentration into it. Here come the excuses. But, you know, it's decent enough for what it is. It does have that, let's see if you can see, really chunky sight on there. And you see how much play is in there? Can you see that? Yeah. All that play in there tends to mean that you're going to have more variation on your shots. So you really need to concentrate when you're shooting this on centering that front sight in there. It is kind of a big front sight too. The bigger a front sight is, the more area it covers. So hey, it's over the target. You think you're lined up, but you know, it could be a little different each time. So that, along with a kind of heavier, grittier trigger, you're not going to get super stellar groups out of this as easily as other guns. If you're a better shooter than me, which most people probably are, you'll get better groups. So I can't blame that on like the quality of the barrel or anything. It rarely is barrels that come into play with that. It's sighting and ergonomics and trigger pull. But anyway, you know, point of the story is that's about what I was doing with this before without overly concentrating. So that's fine with me. Again, you know, something like this, my wife's Ruger, at double the distance with one hand, could do just about the same group. Not to mention this was a rapid fire target, meaning that it was actually shot in 10 seconds and about 50 feet. So that really shows off the difference there between a target platform and a plinking platform, doesn't it? It all comes down to the gun and its purpose and whatnot. You know, this has got a ridiculously smooth trigger. It's got a red dot. There's no guessing where that is. So this, on the other hand, I really like this for plinking, and you know, when you're not going for super accuracy, it's great. Especially fun for shooting steel up the cabin, which is actually what we were doing when this thing blew up. But there you have it. It's back. It's kicking. That's your update on the Chiappa 1911-22. I'm Syntax77. Stay safe and have fun out there.